B&B spoilers. Drunk will accidentally cheats on Electra again? The bold and the beautiful spoilers reveal Electra Forrester and Ivy Forrester are packing their bags next week and heading to San Francisco for work for a few days. That means that Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, is going to be home alone with Dylan, and anything could happen. While Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, is away, are Will and Dylan going to play? Keep reading to find out. Here's what's coming up next on B&B. Electra Forrester's warning. Last week on the CBS soap, Electra revealed that she and Ivy Forrester, Ashley Brewer, had to go to San Francisco for a few days. She cornered Dylan and warned her to stay in the garage apartment while she was gone and out of her boyfriend's house. The homeless art teacher reassured Electra she had nothing to worry about, and they even hugged it out. But everyone knows that Electra Forrester should definitely be worried. The bold and the beautiful spoilers have been hinting for a while now that Will and Dylan were going to hit the sheets. The last time Will cheated on his girlfriend. He was as drunk as a skunk, and Luna Nozoa, Lisa Yamada, took advantage of him. Is history about to repeat itself on the CBS soap? Will and Dylan's wild night. There's no way Dylan is going to keep her promise to Electra and stay out of Will's house while she is away. But what if the two roomies decide to pop a bottle of champagne or go out for drinks at Il Giardino? Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, seems to be a bit of a lightweight and loves to have a good time. Is he going to have too many drinks and accidentally cheat on his girlfriend again? Is Dylan going to stay away from Electra's man while she is out of town? Could she come home and find them in bed together? B&B spoilers. Drunk will accidentally cheats on Electra again? The bold and the beautiful spoilers reveal Electra Forrester and Ivy Forrester are packing their bags next week and heading to San Francisco for work for a few days. That means that Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, is going to be home alone with Dylan, and anything could happen. While Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, is away, are Will and Dylan going to play? Keep reading to find out. Here's what's coming up next on B&B. Electra Forrester's warning. Last week on the CBS soap, Electra revealed that she and Ivy Forrester, Ashley Brewer, had to go to San Francisco for a few days. She cornered Dylan and warned her to stay in the garage apartment while she was gone and out of her boyfriend's house. The homeless art teacher reassured Electra she had nothing to worry about, and they even hugged it out. But everyone knows that Electra Forrester should definitely be worried. The bold and the beautiful spoilers have been hinting for a while now that Will and Dylan were going to hit the sheets. The last time Will cheated on his girlfriend. He was as drunk as a skunk, and Luna Nozoa, Lisa Yamada, took advantage of him. Is history about to repeat itself on the CBS soap? Will and Dylan's wild night. There's no way Dylan is going to keep her promise to Electra and stay out of Will's house while she is away. But what if the two roomies decide to pop a bottle of champagne or go out for drinks at Il Giardino? Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, seems to be a bit of a lightweight and loves to have a good time. Is he going to have too many drinks and accidentally cheat on his girlfriend again? Is Dylan going to stay away from Electra's man while she is out of town? Could she come home and find them in bed together? The sun might be shining over the Pacific, but a dark cloud is hanging over the Spencer Beach house. Fans are reeling today as the latest developments in the bold and the beautiful suggest that the young, promising romance between Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, and Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, is headed for a catastrophic, heart-wrenching collision. Is history repeating itself? Is Will truly his father's son? The rumors are flying, and the evidence on screen is becoming impossible to ignore. Grab your tissues, B&B fans, because this very sad news might just be the end of an era for our favorite new couple. The setup, a long-distance disaster. Every soap fan knows that when a character leaves town for a business trip, trouble follows back home like a shadow. This week, Steffi Forrester and Electra headed to San Francisco for a high-stakes jewelry presentation. While Electra is busy impressing mega-rich socialites like Dottie Bright, she left behind a ticking time bomb in Los Angeles. Her friend Dylan, Sydney Bullock, and her boyfriend, Will Spencer. Despite Electra's explicit warnings and the guest house rule, which dictated that Dylan stay far away from the main house. The boundaries didn't just blur, they evaporated. The accidental spark? The drama kicked into high gear when Dr. John Finnegan faced a medical emergency at the hospital. Desperate for a babysitter for little Hayes, he turned to the only people available, Will and Dylan. While it started as a sweet gesture of helping out family, the atmosphere at the beach house quickly shifted. We've seen this play out before. The close proximity, the shared laughter over a child's drawings, and that unmistakable Forrester Spencer tension that always leads to trouble. Why fans are screaming betrayal? The rumors of a drunk accident have set the internet on fire. While the show hasn't aired a full-blown cheating scene yet, the foreshadowing is heavy enough to sink a Spencer yacht. The Ivy factor. Ivy Forrester, never one to mince words, has already voiced her distrust of Will, calling him a womanizer, just like his father, Bill Spencer. The Eiffel. Spoilers for Wednesday, January 28th, indicate that Ivy witnesses a moment between Will and Dylan that leaves her absolutely stunned. She catches them in a wrong position that raises immediate questions about Will's fidelity. The vulnerability. Will has been vocal about his loneliness. He wants Electra to move in, but her career is taking her further away. In her absence, Dylan, the cool, confident girl living in his guest house, is becoming a very dangerous distraction. Will isn't aware that he's headed down a slippery slope. He might get so lonely that he tries to fill it by spending more time with Dylan. Recent B&B commentary. A pattern of pain. Will versus Electra's trauma. What makes this potential betrayal so sad is Electra's history. She is still healing from past trauma and her fractured friendship with Remy. She finally thought she found safety in Will Spencer. To have that trust shattered, especially by a friend she was trying to help, is the ultimate soap opera tragedy. If Will claims he was drunk or that it was an accident during a night of babysitting gone wrong, will Electra ever be able to look at him the same way? Or is this the moment R.J. Forrester has been waiting for to swoop in and nurture his own bond with the young designer? The fallout. What happens next? The clock is ticking for Will Spencer. As we move into the final days of January 2026, the consequences are going to be explosive. Ivy's confrontation. Ivy isn't going to stay silent. Expect her to demand that Dylan leave town immediately. The San Francisco return. When Electra returns from her successful trip, she expects to celebrate with her boyfriend. Instead, she might be walking into a house full of lies. A Spencer legacy. If Will cheats, he cements his place as the new dollar bill, a title he's fought hard to avoid. Final thoughts. Is there hope for Electra? Today's We Want to Believe and the beautiful news is a heartbreaking, gut punch fans didn't see coming, but maybe feared all along. Just when it seemed like Will Spencer was finally getting his life, his sobriety, and his relationship with Electra Forrester back on track, one reckless night threatens to destroy everything. And the most painful part? This wasn't some calculated betrayal. This was a tragic, drunken mistake that could cost Will the one person who believed in him when no one else did. Yes, B&B viewers are reeling today as rumors swirl that Will, intoxicated and emotionally spiraling, may have accidentally cheated on Electra again. And if history has taught us anything, it's that accidental doesn't soften the blow when hearts are shattered. Will Spencer, a man always on the edge. Will Spencer has never been the picture of stability. As the son of Bill Spencer, chaos practically runs through his veins. But in recent months, fans have watched Will really try, to break free from the destructive patterns that have haunted him for years. Electra represented that fresh start. With her calm presence, moral backbone, and genuine love, Electra wasn't just Will's girlfriend. She was his anchor. She believed in the version of Will that even he struggled to see. She stood by him through past mistakes, public humiliations, and whispered gossip that insisted he'd never change. That's what makes today's news so devastating, because this isn't just about cheating. It's about breaking the last fragile thread of trust holding Will's redemption arc together. The night everything went wrong. According to unfolding spoilers, the night begins innocently enough. Will isn't planning to betray Electra. In fact, he's already emotionally vulnerable, stressed, overwhelmed, and quietly drowning in unresolved guilt and pressure. One drink turns into another, then another. And suddenly, Will is no longer the man Electra believes in. He's the lost, impulsive version of himself he swore he'd left behind. Sources suggest Will ends up in a familiar, dangerous situation. Alcohol-fueled emotions, blurred boundaries, and someone who should have known better getting far too close. Whether it's Dylan, another complicated presence from his past, or someone new entirely, one thing is painfully clear. Will wakes up with the horrifying realization that he crossed a line he can never uncross. Again is the word that hurts the most. This isn't Will's first mistake. And that's what makes it unforgivable in Electra's eyes. Electra didn't just forgive Will once. She forgave him knowing who he was at his worst. She chose to trust him again, even when warning signs flashed bright red. She defended him when others said he'd mess things up eventually. So when Will cheats, drunk or not, it doesn't feel like an accident. It feels like confirmation of Electra's deepest fear, that loving Will means constantly bracing for heartbreak. Electra Forrester, a breaking point has been reached. If there's one thing B&B fans know about Electra, it's that she's strong, but she's not foolish. Electra has always drawn a clear line between forgiveness and self-respect. And this time, Will may have crossed it permanently. Imagine the devastation when she finds out, not from Will's tearful confession, but possibly through rumors, whispers, or even seeing something she can't unsee. The humiliation alone could be unbearable. But layered on top of that is betrayal, disappointment, and the crushing realization that love wasn't enough to save him. Electra didn't sign up to be Will's babysitter or his emotional safety net. And today's sad news suggests she may finally walk away for good. Will's guilt could be worse than the act itself. What makes this storyline especially tragic is Will's reaction. He doesn't shrug it off. He doesn't justify it. Instead, he spirals. Spoilers hint at Will being absolutely consumed by guilt, barely able to look Electra in the eye, haunted by the knowledge that he destroyed something pure for one fleeting, alcohol-soaked moment. This isn't the behavior of a villain. It's the behavior of a deeply broken man who knows he's run out of second chances. And yet, guilt doesn't undo betrayal. Is alcohol the real enemy here? Fans are already debating whether alcohol is the true culprit in Will's downfall. His history with drinking has always been a red flag, and this latest incident may prove that Will never truly address the root of his issues. Was sobriety just a phase? Or did Will underestimate how fragile his recovery really was? If B&B is heading where it seems to be, this storyline could become less about romance and more about accountability. Will may finally be forced to confront the reality that, until he fixes himself, he will continue to destroy everyone who loves him. The fallout will be brutal. If Electra leaves, and all signs suggest she will, the consequences won't stop there. Will could face public embarrassment, family disappointment, career repercussions, and complete emotional isolation. Bill Spencer, of all people, may not come rushing in to save his son this time. Even Bill knows when a pattern has gone too far. And Electra, she may finally choose herself. Fans are heartbroken and angry. Social media reaction to today's sad news has been explosive. Longtime fans are devastated, while others are furious that Will appears to be repeating the same mistakes. Many are asking, why can't Will grow? Why does Electra always pay the price? And is B&B setting up a permanent breakup? Some fans still hope this cheating comes with a twist, that Will didn't fully cross the line, or that circumstances aren't what they seem. But even doubt can be poisonous. Once trust cracks, it rarely heals cleanly. Is this the end of Will and Electra? Right now, the future looks bleak. Even if Will begs, apologizes, and swears it will never happen again, Electra may finally accept the truth. Love shouldn't feel like constant damage control. This may be the storyline that permanently changes Will Spencer, either forcing him to grow up at last or sending him into an even darker spiral. Either way, today's bold and the beautiful news is undeniably sad. Final thoughts: a tragedy in slow motion. What makes this storyline so painful is how real it feels. There are no villains twirling mustaches here, just flawed people making irreversible mistakes. Will didn't mean to cheat, but he did, and Electra didn't deserve it. As fans brace for the emotional fallout, one thing is certain: this accidental betrayal may become the most defining moment of Will Spencer's life, and whether it leads to redemption or ruin remains to be seen. Stay tuned, because on The Bold and the Beautiful, heartbreak is never the end, but it's always the beginning of something devastating. Cross the line, or that circumstances aren't what they seem. But even doubt can be poisonous. Once trust cracks, it rarely heals cleanly. Is this the end of Will and Electra? Right now, the future looks bleak. Even if Will begs, apologizes, and swears it will never happen again, Electra may finally accept the truth. Love shouldn't feel like constant damage control. This may be the storyline that permanently changes Will Spencer, either forcing him to grow up at last or sending him into an even darker spiral. Either way, today's bold and the beautiful news is undeniably sad. Final thoughts: a tragedy in slow motion. What makes this storyline so painful is how real it feels. There are no villains twirling mustaches here, just flawed people making irreversible mistakes. Will didn't mean to cheat, but he did. And Electra didn't deserve it. The Bold and the Beautiful delivers a gut punch that longtime fans won't soon forget. In a storyline soaked in regret, fear, and the unbearable weight of truth, Electra Forrester issues a warning, one that arrives too late to stop the damage already in motion, yet urgent enough to change everything going forward. What begins as a quiet moment of realization explodes into a heartbreaking plea that ripples through the Forrester family, threatening to unravel loyalties, expose buried secrets, and leave permanent scars. From the very first scene, there's a heaviness in the air. Electra isn't the confident, poised Forrester we've grown used to seeing. She's shaken, eyes rimmed with unshed tears, voice tight with the kind of fear that only comes when you finally understand the consequences of your own silence. And when she finally speaks, the words land like a thunderclap, a realization that comes too late. Electra's warning doesn't come from rumor or speculation. It's born from a realization she can no longer ignore. Someone close to the Forrester family is walking a dangerous line, and the fallout is no longer hypothetical. The signs were there: small inconsistencies, uneasy conversations, moments she brushed off because it was easier not to rock the boat. But today, those fragments snap into focus, forming a picture that terrifies her. This isn't about ambition gone too far or a simple misunderstanding. This is about real danger, emotional, professional, and possibly physical. And the most painful part? Electra knows that if she had spoken up sooner, the damage might have been avoided. Her guilt is palpable. Every pause in her speech, every glance away, tells the same story. She's been carrying this fear alone, hoping it would resolve itself. It didn't. The weight of being a Forrester. Being a Forrester has always meant living under a microscope. But for Electra, that legacy now feels like a curse. Her warning isn't just a personal confession. It's a challenge to the entire family's way of operating. For years, the Forresters have protected their own, sometimes at the expense of truth. Electra's message threatens to expose the cost of that protection. She knows what will happen when she speaks out. Lines will be drawn, trust will be tested, and some family members may never forgive her for saying what she knows needs to be said. But staying silent is no longer an option. A chilling message no one wants to hear. When Electra finally delivers her warning, it's not dramatic or rehearsed. It's raw. She warns that someone is manipulating events behind the scenes, pushing people into decisions that could destroy careers and relationships. What's worse, this person understands the Forrester family's weaknesses and is exploiting them one by one. Electra doesn't claim to have all the answers. What she has is instinct, experience, and a growing sense of dread. She begs her loved ones to slow down, to question motives, to stop assuming the best in someone who hasn't earned that trust. The response is devastating. Some dismiss her concerns as stress or overthinking. Others accuse her of jealousy, of letting personal feelings cloud her judgment. And a few, perhaps the most frightening of all, hear her warning and choose to ignore it because acknowledging it would mean admitting they've already made a terrible mistake. Fallout begins immediately. The consequences of Electra's warning are immediate and painful. Conversations turn icy. Doors close. Whispers start to circulate at Forrester Creations, where tension has already been simmering beneath the surface. Electra watches in silence as her words create distance between her and the people she loves most. She's labeled difficult, dramatic, even disloyal. Yet she doesn't back down. For the first time, Electra chooses truth over approval, and the cost is staggering. What makes this storyline especially heartbreaking is that Electra isn't asking to be believed blindly. She's asking to be heard, to be taken seriously, to not be dismissed simply because the truth is inconvenient. A family divided. As the warning spreads, the Forrester family begins to fracture along familiar fault lines. Some members quietly start re-examining recent events, realizing Electra may be right. Others double down on denial, unwilling to accept that their judgment could be flawed. Old resentments resurface. Past betrayals are dragged into the light. Suddenly, Electra's warning isn't just about one looming threat. It becomes a mirror reflecting years of unresolved conflict. And at the center of it all stands Electra, isolated and heartbroken, wondering if telling the truth was worth losing the very people she was trying to protect. A moment of regret that cuts deep. In one of the episode's most emotional moments, Electra is left alone, replaying the conversations that led her here. She remembers the times she almost spoke up and didn't. The times she convinced herself she was imagining things. The times she chose peace over honesty. The regret is crushing. She doesn't cry loudly or dramatically. Instead, her pain is quiet, internal, and devastatingly real. It's the kind of sadness that comes from knowing you did the right thing, but far too late. Is anyone listening? The most haunting question hanging over today's episode is simple. Will anyone listen to Electra before it's too late? The warning has been issued. The truth is out there. But in a world where power, pride, and ego often drown out reason, awareness doesn't always lead to action. As events continue to unfold, it becomes increasingly clear that Electra's warning may be the last chance to prevent a catastrophe that will leave permanent damage in its wake. Whether the Forresters heed it or dismiss it until everything collapses remains to be seen. A turning point for Electra Forrester. One thing is certain. Electra Forrester will never be the same after today. This warning marks a turning point not just in the storyline, but in her character. She steps out of the background and into a role she never asked for, that of the truth teller, the one willing to be hated to save others from themselves. It's a lonely place to stand, and the sadness of today's episode lies not just in the danger ahead, but in the emotional toll it takes on Electra as she realizes how fragile trust truly is. Very sad news indeed. Today's very sad news isn't about a single loss or betrayal. It's about the slow, painful unraveling that happens when warnings go unheeded and voices are silenced. Electra Forrester's warning is a cry for accountability, a plea for awareness, and a heartbreaking reminder that sometimes the truth hurts most when it arrives just a moment too late. One thing is certain. Electra Forrester will never be the same after today. This warning marks a turning point not just in the storyline, but in her character. She steps out of the background and into a role she never asked for, that of the truth teller, the one willing to be hated to save others from themselves. It's a lonely place to stand. And the sadness of today's episode lies not just in the danger ahead, but in the emotional toll it takes on Electra as she realizes how fragile trust truly is. Very sad news indeed. Today's very sad news isn't about a single loss or betrayal. It's about the slow, painful unraveling that happens when warnings go unheeded and voices are silenced. Electra Forrester's warning is a cry for accountability, a plea for awareness, and a heartbreaking reminder that sometimes the truth hurts most when it arrives just a moment too late. In the high-stakes, glittering world of Los Angeles fashion, the Forrester name has always been synonymous with elegance and power. However, the arrival of Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, has brought a new kind of intensity to the canvas of the bold and the beautiful. Today, the very sad news rippling through the fandom isn't just about a broken heart. It's about a character transformation that feels like a warning of a coming storm. As of January 28th, 2026, the atmosphere at the Spencer Beach House has turned from a sanctuary of young love into a pressure cooker of jealousy and betrayal. Electra, once seen as the bright-eyed newcomer, has issued a chilling warning that might just be the beginning of her undoing. The warning heard round the beach house. The tension reached a breaking point this week as Electra prepared to depart for a high-stakes business trip to San Francisco with Steffi Forrester. What should have been a career-defining moment for the young jeweler was instead clouded by a desperate, almost unhinged possessiveness. Before leaving, Electra confronted her supposed friend, the homeless and struggling Melissa Dillon, Sydney Bullock. The warning was simple but sharp. Stay in your space. Respect my relationship. It better never happen again. The it in question? A seemingly innocent teriyaki chicken dinner Dillon shared with Electra's boyfriend, Will Spencer Crumaro. While Will viewed the meal as a simple act of hospitality toward a roommate in need, Electra saw it as a declaration of war. Electra is acting like the gatekeeper of a house she doesn't even live in, fans have noted on social media. Her warning wasn't about boundaries, it was about fear. Why this news is very sad for fans. The sadness in today's developments stems from the tragic shift in Electra's character. When Linnea Grace first stepped into the role of Eric Forrester's grandniece, she was the breath of fresh air the show needed. She was ambitious, talented, and deeply in love with Will. However, the shadow of Luna Nozoa, Will's previous, traumatizing love interest, now looms large. Electra's current behavior suggests she is suffering from a deep-seated paranoia. She is so terrified of losing Will to another manipulator that she has become the very thing she fears, a controlling, aggressive presence in the lives of those she claims to care about. The breakdown of trust. A summary character current stance the conflict Electra Forrester insecure and aggressive believes Dillon is stalking Will and intentionally overstepping. Will Spencer dismissive and independent he is tired of Electra laying down the law in his own home. Melissa Dillon vulnerable and trapped wants to be a good friend but is being low-key bullied by Electra. The guest apartment rule shatters. The sad reality for Electra is that her warning has already backfired. While she is in San Francisco pitching jewelry to socialite Dottie Bright, the guest apartment rule she fought so hard to establish has disintegrated. In a twist of fate, a medical emergency involving Dr. John Finnegan forced Will and Dillon to step up as emergency babysitters for young Hayes. This forced proximity is exactly what Electra feared. As they navigated the chaos of childcare together, the distance between Will and Dillon vanished. The most heart-wrenching part of today's news? Ivy Forrester, Electra's own aunt, was spotted lurking outside the beach house windows. Ivy reportedly witnessed a scandalous moment between Will and Dillon, a close encounter that looked far more than platonic. Is Electra heading for a villain arc? The warning Electra gave Dillon wasn't just a threat to a rival, it was a warning to the audience that the sweet Forrester girl we knew is gone. With R.J. Forrester recently returning to town and showing an immediate, undeniable chemistry with Electra, the stage is set for a massive fallout. If Electra returns from her business trip to find that Will has dismissed her feelings, or worse, that he has found comfort in Dillon's arms, we may see the birth of a new Forrester villain. The tragedy of the situation. The loss of friendship. Electra and Dillon started as allies, but jealousy has turned them into enemies. The breach of autonomy. By trying to control Will's home, Electra is pushing him directly toward the woman she wants him to avoid. The Forrester legacy. Instead of focusing on her brilliant jewelry line, Electra is letting her unhinged paranoia define her. What's next? A looming confrontation. The fallout from Electra's warning is only just beginning. As the week of January 26th to 30th, 2026 unfolds, we expect Ivy's tattling. Ivy will undoubtedly report what she saw, or thought she saw, to Electra. The ultimatums. Electra is expected to give Will a her or me choice regarding Dylan's living situation. The RJ factor. As Will grows distant, will Electra find solace in the arms of RJ Forrester, creating the ultimate family rivalry? Today's news is a somber reminder that in the world of soaps, the people we love most are often the ones we hurt the most when we are afraid. Electra Forrester's warning may have been intended to protect her heart, but it might just be the thing that breaks it forever.